Well, oh, we are live now. Haha. um, yeah, so we'll get to that in a second. I'm Chris. I'm here with Adam. We've got no agenda, but I think I like his topic of travel and
Hang
being
on.
that implausible immigrant kind of a thing. See, I played your name, huh? Anyway, we were just talking about Mauritius, and that's where he's located. And yeah, I went there on my honeymoon back in 20 when the fuck did I get married? 2013.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, we were there for a week in Port Louis, and we rented a taxi and we did a tour on the entire island. So
Okay.
that was nice. How do you like it over there? And what took you there actually?
Oh God. Uh what brought me here? What brought me here was I was trying to find a place that would be like other places in the world that felt like home. Um None of which I could actually return to.
Okay.
I was sort of thinking that this would be like the best of Hawaii and the best of Egypt together. Um, I wanted to return to the beach and I wanted to return to Africa.
Hmm.
I missed life. So putting these different agenda together, I came up with find an African island. And that narrowed things down quite a bit because Africa doesn't have that many islands. And then Cape Verde, I think you is very hard for an American to immigrate to, being part of
Yeah.
the French remains of the French Empire. And then things I read about Mauritius sounded just so eccentric that it just seemed like how could someone as weird as I go anywhere else? No, I'll say right off the bat that my decision, my thinking about this was not the most rational. It was a mix of rational and irrational thoughts.
Ah,
Was it a decision? I really don't know about that. It's been it's been a lot of it has been really crap. I've been having mostly bad experiences, and it's disappointing in a lot of ways. Um, and I have wondered often, like, if I really should go someplace else. Um, and I don't know. It's up in the air. It's up in the air. But I don't have any exact countries in mind. I don't have any firm decisions about any other place to live, and I might just stick it out. But in any case, at this point, I have gone through so much drama and horror that uh, the purpose I set out for joining Substack to tell my story of my attempt at immigrating here, it seems like it really has got to be told. When you
hmm.
find yourself in the midst of so much ridiculous drama, it's like, well, one thing that I can get out of this is a good story, a good yarn, if I can tell it well. And if I can't, then it's been a total waste. So I'll give it my all. Oh,
I remember when I went to um, Mauritius. I was living in Madagascar, which is like literally like a stone's throw away. I felt so cathartic because it was like finally civilization, like a movie theater, a mall. We Madagascar has one escalator, just one escalator in the entire country.
is
Uh,
is there an up and a down too, or do you have to like walk?
and that's the thing I love about escalators. They could never really break down. They can only become stairs. Uh,
That's true.
yeah, that was my bad attempt at a dad joke at 7:04 in the morning. Um, but yeah, no,
Well,
it's up and down.
yeah.
It's at the country's only mall, and I mean, like it works. I wonder how they maintain it though. If there's only one, it must be easy. But yeah, it was just nice. Even I don't like McDonald's, but like boom, there was a McDonald's. It's like, okay, we gotta go. It's like you gotta taste civilization for like 2 minutes. And
Mm.
that's the thing about McDonald's. You can order a large number two, and it'll be large number two when you see it again. And that's why I don't eat McDonald's. Boom. Anyway, so where else have you lived? You said Hawaii, Egypt. Where else
Yeah.
have you gone to
Where have I gone to or have
or
lived?
lived?
Yeah, the only other country I've lived in besides the US was Australia, and I was only there for 7 months. So that was the shortest. It was also my first attempt living abroad. And it was clearly a mistake. It was definitely not the country for me. But as things turned out, like after when I left Australia, I went to Hawaii, thinking I'd be passing through on my way back to New York City, and then the Twin Towers got hit. So I was like, oh, actually, New York
Oh,
City doesn't feel certain. And as it turned out, Hawaii was living in Hawaii was a more transformative experience than just about anything else in my life. It really was a major series of chapters, one opening leading to another. Um, it ultimately led it finally ran its course, and I just needed to go deeper on the spiritual path I had embarked upon, and that is what ultimately led me to travel through the Middle East and then to settle in Egypt, in Sinai, Egypt.
no. Where in the Middle East did you travel through?
Jordan, Syria, and mainland Egypt.
Oh
I
man.
stayed up. I first went to Cairo, and I was there for Ramadan. Stayed there for the length of Ramadan, or actually not Cairo. I started in Cairo, and I quickly got really sick of it, and almost went left to go to Syria, spend Ramadan in Syria instead. And friends of mine talked me into staying. I was staying in a it's at a gated community in a suburb of Cairo. It's a really weird place to be for me, a gated community. But uh, a guy I met on couch surfing, I started at his place in Cairo, and then he told me, I've got this other apartments in Nasser City that I'm not using. He has a whole other apartment he's not using. You want to stay there instead? So I stayed there, and a couple of friends I made there, they visited me there, and they were like, "Why are you thinking of rushing off to Syria when you've got this huge apartment all to yourself? You're away from all the noise and hustle of Cairo. This is the perfect place to spend Ramadan." And I was like, "Oh, okay, all right, sure, guys." And so then I had a remarkably uneventful Ramadan
Hmm.
because there's nothing to do in a fucking gated community in a suburb. So apart from some trips I took with my friends through like Upper Egypt and so on, yeah, it was weird. But then eventually, after I traveled through Syria and Jordan, I wound up coming back to Egypt, specifically to Sinai, and I found a niche for myself. I was able to restart my massage practice
Hmm.
there in the Sinai, completely illegally. I never got a visa that permitted me to do this legally, but I set up shop. I advertised everywhere. I had posters all over, like on every lamppost in town, flyers in every hotel and every dive shop in town, and nobody bothered me. The police were hands off. Nobody asked me for taxes. Nobody asked me for bribes. They just let me alone.
How long did you
Uh,
do that for?
that was getting on like 2 years, and it would have continued, but there was this revolution that fucked up everything.
Oh yeah, I remember that. It spread
Yeah,
to like Tunisia and stuff.
yep. Started in Tunisia, and yeah, it spread throughout it was so-called Arab Spring. Yeah, Hosni Mubarak turned off the internet. We were stranded. That was an interesting experience being without access to the internet, especially in a country where your cell phones use the internet. And so, like, we couldn't communicate with one another except in person all of a sudden. There
Oh,
were no
damn.
landlines. The desert, yeah, like practically nobody had a landline phone. So yeah, it was like all of a sudden, decades of technology gone.
Hmm. I used to
And
live
then,
in Oman.
oh yeah,
Yeah, I lived in Muscat for a while, and I was wondering through when I first moved to Muscat, people would be like trying to get my attention. They'd be like, "Hey, monsieur, monsieur," and I was like, "What are they saying to me?" And I eventually like made a friend, and I asked him like, "They keep saying this to me. What does that mean?" He's like, "They think you're Egyptian, bro." Because like monsieur means Egypt. You speak Arabic, right? Yeah,
shwai shwai.
yeah, me too.
Yeah, difficult language, and in a country like Egypt, you only really, if unless you go live out in the sticks, everybody you talk to speaks English. So it's really uphill to even get anyone to speak Arabic with you. They don't have the patience for your stumbling, and they just want to practice their English anyhow. So yeah, what I learned, I studied before I left, and then I think it went downhill from there.
Yeah, after I stopped trying to learn because it just got really, really hard, the alphabet. So I was like, eh. And when I was trying to learn Arabic, they all spoke English to me. So it's like that's not the point of why I'm here. Actually, the
Yeah.
point of why I was there, I was in school. Um, so yeah. Anyway, but now you're in Mauritius, and
Now I'm in Mauritius.
you have to island hop. You have to go to like Mayotte and Reunion Island, and it's all right there. Madagascar. You should check out Madagascar if you're looking for a new contender. I would put Mayotte. No, not Mayotte. Mayotte is decent. Madagascar's all right. Reunion Island is where you want to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have the most expensive infrastructure project in the world. Did you know that?
No, no, I didn't know that.
They built a ring road around the entire island. Um, so it's this highway surrounding the island, and it's built on the ocean or in the ocean. Because a normal highway, it's a volcanic island, and uh, as the volcano tends to do its thing, it shifts and things, and rocks fall onto the highway, and it crushes cars and things. So they built this ring road, and I think it's like something like $50 million per mile of what they had to, is what it costs.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Um,
Hmm. Check it
so
out.
so you recommend that as a place to visit or to actually emigrate to?
Emigrating might be hard. I mean, it might be easy. Um, Definitely worth a visit. It's part of
Isn't it
France,
also France?
huh?
It's France too, isn't it?
It is. So I mean, it's like immigrating to the EU, right? But at least visit Mayotte. You should try Mayotte. It's its own little thing. It should be really
Hmm.
easy. Madagascar, you'll live like a king on $1,000 a month. Um, yeah. But all right. What brought you? So you said you were on a spiritual journey. What was a spiritual journey that brought you to the Middle East?
Well, I started with American style Sufism, Inayati Sufism, which is universal, taking the path outside of the structure of religion in order to make it more palatable and fewer rules and whatnot. Um, and then after a few years of doing this thing with the local Sufis, I became attracted to Islam and eventually embraced the faith.
Hmm.
And um, there was just so much. I had to educate myself because there were very few Muslims there. So like most of what I learned about the religion was through books and podcasts and so on. And there's a lot of talk about how Islam is not just an individual faith, but can be should be the foundation of a society. I never really 100% bought into that, but it was enough to stoke my curiosity and see what the so-called Islamic world would be like. And the Sufi scene and the whole like new age scene on Maui started to grate on me, and I was really feeling the call to something more disciplined and structured. And the further I got into this, the more alienation I felt from my fellow Mauians, and uh, things things rapidly shifted. And that's the way Hawaii is. It's like the islands have a way of letting you know when you're at home there and when it's time for you to go.
Mm.
And
And it's usually unspoken, huh?
yeah, it's usually just like weird events out of your control, just falling into place. And things moved quickly. Before long, I found myself back in New York City, liaising with the Muslim community there. I got involved in like interfaith groups and a different Sufi order, Nurashki Jarahi order, and yeah, I prepared. I prepared to like actually go and visit the so-called Muslim world, maybe do Hajj, but basically, I bought a one-way ticket to Egypt.
Mm.
I had
Your intention was
no,
never to come
no
back.
plans. Yeah, I had no. I was like, well, I guess eventually I'll come back, but whatever. I didn't
Hmm.
want to plan beyond going to Egypt, spending Ramadan in Cairo, and then traveling through the Islamic world from there. Uh, and so it was what I found was a mixture of disappointment and I know what I've been looking for. In some ways, Egyptian society is incredibly corrupt. In other ways, it's authentic. You know, and I've been asking myself lately, like, uh, really, what was it? What was it that I missed so much, that felt so missing in the United States when I returned, and has made it so impossible to stay there? What brought me here? And I think, in a single word, it would be authenticity. I just felt like American society is very phony. That um, it's built on fantasy and simulation and insincerity. And the polar opposite experience I had was in Egypt, and also in at times in New York City, meeting African people, hanging out with people from sub-Saharan Africa, and finding, well, in conversation, in dialogue, there is a negotiation of personality, right?
Hmm.
Like when you're talking with somebody who is very defensive, you just sort of automatically become more guarded yourself, right? There's this interchange. People's energy wears on you, and you start playing the same games that they're playing. And hanging out with African people, I felt like I had stepped off a stage, like I had been performing, and all of a sudden I was actually being myself. And I realized there's something about these people, they don't have the same amount of ego shell that Americans and Europeans seem to go around with. And I missed that terribly. I missed that terribly when I was back in the United States. And what the experience of living there became like an ever receding memory that just got vaguer and vaguer, and I really began to fear that I would lose it completely. Superficiality over substance. Yeah, exactly, exactly. My lord, thank you for that. So now I'm asking myself, well, is this in fact a more authentic society than the one I left behind? And I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Um, I've had a disproportionate share of unpleasantness here. Um, I wound up living in a shared home, in a house where the couple who owns it live in the front and they rent out the rooms in the back, uh, in Goodlands.
Okay.
Um, yeah, uh, I've mentioned this to people and they were like, "Good Lord, why of all places on the island did you move to Goodlands?"
I
And
was going to ask the
actually,
same thing too.
you asked the same thing, huh?
Yeah, I would ask the same thing. I remember Goodlands.
You remember so you visited it, huh?
Yeah,
What
it
was your
was,
impression of Goldens?
I preferred being in Madagascar at that point.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, th- there was just something yeah about it. I don't know, like I got bad vibes about Goodlands when we visited.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't get the best impression of it when I first visited either. It's worth mentioning that it was a foreigner who was living in Mauritius, who on the first my first day on the island advised me to check out Goodlands as a place to live. I told her, I'm shocked at the price of rentals here, and she was like, "Go to Goodlands." And in hindsight, that's like telling somebody fresh and unrivaled in Los Angeles, "Oh, go to Compton, go to North
Yeah.
Philly." Like, no, no, you don't go to the center of crime and drugs anywhere. It's terrible, terrible advice. And it's not like the crime and poverty isn't really obvious. So for a foreigner, it's you don't necessarily get the vibe like, oh, this is a dangerous place. And on the scale of danger compared to neighborhoods that I have lived in the United States, it's actually quite safe. But nonetheless, I would say Goodlands probably has the highest proportion of sleazy people than most places on the island. And well, I lived in a house with a bunch of I'm not saying they were all sleazy people, but it was a madhouse. It was a madhouse, and ultimately I wound up getting assaulted by my landlady.
Oh, damn.
And oh yeah, yeah, you haven't been abreast with my news. I'm not very active on Substack, but I did. The last post I made was a video announcement of what had just happened because I needed to talk. I needed to talk about
Mhm.
it. And at the moment, I was in an extremely noisy environment, so it wouldn't have worked on Facebook at all. I had to take advantage of Substack's awesome noise reduction power. So I did an impromptu broadcast from the restaurant that I was recovering in. But yeah, these people they've been meaning to extort money from me, and I was moving out and refusing to pay them the money they were demanding, and so yeah, the bitch assaulted me. She knocked the phone that I was recording. I was recording them on for. I had called the police. I was recording their conversation for evidence to give the police. And she got one of the other tenants there to destroy my phone. Yeah, this other tenant, like, they were threatening to evict her a few weeks prior because she wasn't able to pay rent at all. She wasn't able to get work. She had no money, and so she was facing eviction. And they didn't evict her, but she sort of seemed to turn into the house slave.
Hmm.
So she was at their beck and call, and they got her to destroy my phone and uh, subsequently press false charges against me because I was pressing charges against them. Press a false charge of attempt upon chastity.
What does that mean?
Well, it seems to be sort of a combination, like sexual molestation.
Oh,
Yeah. What she specifically alleged was that at the time that I was waiting for the police to come, that I tried to pull her into my room.
mm.
Like, I'm gonna get some quick nookie while waiting for the police to come. Ridiculous story, totally ridiculous story, but nonetheless, that's up in the air. Like, the charge is still open. I need to find out like what the police intend to do about it. Am I going to get a court date or what? But yeah, when the police came, they advised me not to return to the home. Seemed like good advice. And subsequently, the people there have refused to give me back my things. Like almost all my worldly possessions are still there at that place, and they're holding it for ransom.
Oh, that makes sense. Hmm.
So I've been dealing with some of the slimiest people I've ever met in my life, and dealing with the infuriating incompetency of the police and weirdness of the legal system here.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. So how do I like Mauritius? Well, I might
Pain in
have a
the
good
ass.
story. I might have a good story to pull out of all of this.
You're gonna laugh about this later, I think.
Hopefully, hopefully. Um, it's intriguing. I started on Substack because I was 3 days on the island. I'd made this decision to move to this country I had never even visited. I was 2 weeks into cold turkey from smoking weed and tobacco on a daily basis. I had tried cutting down, I'd tried quitting, and it just seemed to be impossible as long as I was still living in Philadelphia or the United States. So I was going through all this, quite overwhelmed, and the recent events were going over and over in my head, and the story was writing itself, and I had to write down what had been happening, and I also just felt like I'm going to forget important stuff. Like I found I had holes in my memory around all the times that I'd moved. When it came to specific things, telling my own story to myself, I found that there were gaps in the narrative that I really don't understand why, like what happened between this point and that point. And I didn't want that to happen again. So I started writing and publishing my stories on Facebook. And my friends were like, "Good Lord, you're a good writer. You should keep this coming." And I did on Facebook for a while, and my stories were getting lost in my feed with everything else I was sharing. And I said, okay, I got to find a blogging platform, right? So that's when I switched to Substack. I went back over everything I had written, and I revised yet again and cut it down to Substack size pieces and published it bit by bit. Um, but then when my point of personal disasters hit a point of overwhelm, I got blocked. And I was not even clear why I was having a hard time writing. Like, okay, I am under a lot of stress. I have been under extreme stress recently. The point in my narrative where I'm having trouble writing about is something I would rather not think about at the moment. But even that doesn't quite seem to fully explain this block. Looking back on it now, I think that I, on some level, realized that the approach to writing that I had taken was not going to work. Telling things just chronologically would ultimately not tell the story properly. And indeed, now that I have all this time since I started, looking back on earlier events, well, I see things in a very different light. And of course,
Hmm.
I'm going to tell the story differently now. So I learned the hard way that it's extremely difficult to tell a true story as it's happening to you.
I've kind of had a weird experience with Substack and writing. And it's like what you're kind of alluding to, it's shifted, right? Um, I ended up like I was going through still am, but I was going through a dark time in my life, and I ended up publishing a book, and what I wanted the book to do was to give people a a gut punch of what I went through, and my intention was always for Substack to be an accompaniment to that, you know? And it's and I wanted to kinda continue giving people that, like, gut punch, right? And it shifted in the fact that it did a couple things. I think people are I think people get sick enough or they get sick of feeling depressed all the time or, like, getting the wind knocked out of them through words. Um, and, so, you know, oh, and fair enough, right? At what point you know, does this become too much for me as a reader, right? And I think part of it too is why I've seen a lot of like unsubscribes because like a lot of what I was writing about was too heavy, right? And the other thing too is I had gone through a lot of shit and it's like continuously writing about it and thinking about it and like it's like being 6 inches from a brick wall. And I think that started to like affect like I went through depression again, right? Because I was like this 24/7. And I've been like evolving that my tone now in Substack. So I bring a lot more of that humor and how can I talk about the heavy stuff with through humor.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been I think um going over a lot better, both mentally and with people and in
For you
cases.
and your readers, you're saying.
Yeah. So
Right.
I don't know. So I think that evolution is I mean, we're human, we're always evolving. And it's just like how do you evolve as you're writing? You know, it's I don't know. How are you having a challenge in terms of like evolving as you write?
Well, I think it's really been about getting a handle on the narrative. Lately, I've been reading other memoir writers on Substack.
Hmm.
Uh, what they have, or something they have in common that I don't have in common with them, is that they are writing about things that happened many years ago. So they have the benefit of a lot of hindsight. Whereas I'm still writing about recent events. And what I think you need it to have an ongoing narrative that makes your readers want to read the next installment. So it can't be the same story over, it can't be the same thing over and over again. One thing has to lead to another, but at the same time, you can't just say, okay, well, this is the story of Monday the 27th, and now here's the part about Tuesday the 28th, and so on. Like, no, you'll get lost in the details, and you'll lose your reader. Now, the best things that I've written on Substack have all had themes,
Hmm.
right? I think I've written two of all the things that I've done. The best things I've done were two pieces that I wrote after I had given up on trying to keep an ongoing narrative, but just only wrote when I really, really had something that was had to come out. And these pieces are self-contained. The mirror is the shorter of the two, and anti-nostalgia is the long one. Um, so having a like if you're going to tell a narrative, it's going to happen in episodes. They have to hang together, but the episodes also have to have a certain amount of unity of themselves. And
Pizzazz.
I think it's about theme,
Theme?
you know. Yeah, yeah. So you can have recurring themes, um, but they can't be like all spread evenly throughout each installment. Each installment itself has to have a certain kind of character or that makes it different from the others, right?
Hmm.
So in telling a true story, you're going to have to condense time a bit. You're going to have to compress some days into a single installment. Um, and you also might have to like take different events from the same day and put them in different installments according to your thematic narrative. So what I see the task before me now is to prepare an outline that will be a balance between chronology and theme. So that's what I'm working on now. I'm reviewing all the notes that I took on a daily basis over the last 6 months. I'm just working on the chronology part for now. And I need to do that because I can't count on my memory. That was one reason that led me to this in the first place. Is just like my memory has gotten really bad. If I don't write things down every single day, I will forget them. So I'm writing down. I'm summarizing my daily notes so that I have a chronological outline, but at the same time, I'm also like making mental notes about the different themes, a combination of mental and written notes about the different themes that I see coming up. And then from this, I'm going to figure out like how to interweave the two. And not until I actually have it outlined am I going to attempt to tell the story as an episodic thing.
Hmm.
So the 12 episodes that I already have up on Substack are going to get rewritten,
Mm.
and the non-episodic parts are going to probably get interweaving in as well.
That should be an interesting task.
Yeah, it's a bit daunting. It's a big project. It's a big project. I've never written anything this long before. I know from making videos that working small is very different from working large. You know, a painting is not a big drawing, right?
Mm. It's little
I
micro
started.
moments.
Yeah, I've made lots of short documentaries, and I've got one full-length documentary that has been in rough cut for years. Yeah. Um, so yeah, large scale is different from small scale.
You're a relatively new writer, you said, right? Um, like what got you started?
Yeah, I have written on and off at different points in my life. It has been important or less important. As a kid, I wrote all the time. I invented my own language and own alphabet, and I wrote storybooks in my own language. And I enjoyed it. That was the last time I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
With adolescence comes the self-consciousness and the self-critique and the oh my God, I've used the same word 3 times in the sentence, and oh, the sentence is so cliche. Oh, I hate it, I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. Um, but when I went to college to study filmmaking, and we had film writing courses. So we were writing scenes and screenplays, and so I was confronted with it all over again, and had that combination of like, oh God, this is the most painful experience of my life, writing, and boy, this is one of the things I do best. Getting very positive feedback from my writing, and also like when the piece is done or when it's close to done, that sense of like, oh my God, it was really good to get that off my chest. I really need to get these things that I've been obsessing in the back of my mind out. But once I was out of college, I really just couldn't keep it up. The pain of writing, if I didn't have something compelling me to write to get something out, I would just put it off. I would start things and not complete them. Uh, but then at different points in my life, I would have crisis moments where something absolutely had to get written, and then I would do it again. And coming here, this whole process of quitting drugs and moving to a country I'd never been to before has created a crisis that has required writing. So I'm
What
back on it again.
this is like drug replacement therapy, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's coping with a whole lot of stuff, expressing a whole lot of stuff. It's sorting out meaning, you know. Um, this kind of thing, just being on your own, especially in a country where you don't. really speak the local language, and it's not so easy to fit in. And having started life all over again late in life, I'm 57 years old. It will really make you ask the big questions. What the fuck is this all about? And I've got a lot of depression. That was part of what I was struggling with the whole time I was back in the United States. 15 years of near suicidal depression and trying to get through it, getting high, and not having that crutch anymore, and not having the solutions to the questions that I was asking and hoping to find once I got out of the United States. Crisis, baby. Emotional crisis. Need therapy. Don't have a therapist. So what do? I write.
I I always wrote in secret, and I started young. Like I always wanted it to be. I always felt like it wasn't good enough, so that's why I kept kept it hidden. I'd occasionally like post something on Facebook, and then I'd get the. I am really good at writing dark, and metaphorically, and then people who don't get the metaphors and things like that, it goes over their head. And then like my mom is one of them, and
Mm,
she's like, "I read what you wrote. You should delete that off of Facebook. People are worried about you." It's like, well, you kind of missed the point, but
mm,
it's okay. Um, so that made me not want to share stuff too much because like if people aren't going to understand what I'm writing, then what the hell's the point of sharing it, right? I can share it with myself, um, and be done with it. It wasn't until uh, Katie passed away where I was starting to write the story, or I wrote the story for her, and I was convinced to publish it. And people, you know, the guidance I was getting was you need to build a following if you want to be a successful author and if you want this to go the way you want it to go. And what does that mean? It
mm,
means you have to like write publicly. Um, so that's why I started Substack, and it's like I can't believe people actually read what I have to say. Yeah, they're like, it's 610 people now that I have as subscribers, and it's like that can fill like a couple restaurants, like 600, and it's
yeah.
like, and then I wonder why, like why, and I think it's a confidence thing after someone in your life tells you like you're a piece of shit, you're worthless, and convinces you to not be in this planet anymore, that you can't see things the way others do. You see it through their lens. Um, but people say I mean that's why I was convinced to publish the book, because that like people like my sister and others who had like a pre advanced copy of what I was writing, they're like, dude, you got to publish this. Like this is too good not to publish. I'm like, yeah, well, you assholes. You guys are just being nice. You know, you're supposed to
Mm,
say that. You're my sister. You're my family. You're. And then I always wondered how much of it was people saying that out of pity, of what I went through, and um, and then strangers started signing up. It was, um, and yes, it is on Amazon and wherever books are sold, by the way. Complete strangers started signing up. All of a sudden, like 10 subscribers, 20 subscribers, like, and then people said, "Damn, you're your writing is beautiful. And I that suspicious of compliments. I'm still suspicious of compliments. Um, and then there are micro moments where I'm doing like a pre-signing of books at a coffee shop, and I'm talking to strangers about my book, and someone who was at I I think I wrote about this in one of my essays where I'm pre-signing books. I'm talking to these young kids, and they weren't kids; they were in their 20s. But I'm 41, so
Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
uh, anyone below the age of 27 is a kid to me. Uh,
sure.
so um, and they're asking me questions, and they're mostly there for Shadow too, because Shadow was with me. Shadow's my dog.
Yeah,
Um, and this lady came up and was like, "You signed, I went to your book signing, your when you released the book, and I read it, and this book helped me stay." So um, she convinced the both of there were a couple, and each of them bought a copy. But the, what the lady said, that the book helped her stay, it kind of made me think that, well, this story is no longer just mine.
yeah,
It's and my intention was always this, or it was always just that. Like, it talks a lot about what I experienced in the past relationship, and uh, it was never to crucify anybody, right?
mm,
It was more of what's the. It didn't even. It started as an explanation to Katie as she was in the hospital to explain why I was so difficult to love, right? And why I
mm.
was just like so walled, right? And it the intention was just that. Here are the facts. This is why I am the way I am, um and it eventually turned into, well, maybe this story can help other people stay, because like what you had talked about it, like I I battled depression so much so that I had two attempts, mainly because I was convinced to do so, right? Um, but so then it's like, how do I make this into a way to help others stay, right? And I'm not gonna do that by having a whole list of grievances and saying she was a bitch, she was this, she was that. No, that does not really help people. And um so it evolved into that. How do I make this into something that helps people stay? And just hearing that lady say, like, dude, your book helped me. I use this metaphor all the time. It's a defibrillator to my soul. It was like zzz, it like kind of like
Mhm.
shocked me back to breath. It was And I hear other feedback. Like, my mom met someone on a train when she was going to Boston for whatever. I forgot why she was going, but lady bought my book, and they became friends. And like, this book helped me understand my son better. And it's like, alrighty, well, maybe I have a skill here. I don't know. Eh.
I've gotten that a similar reaction to the darkest stuff that I've published on Substack. People just, I mean, yeah, I'm also suspicious of the feedback you get on Substack because it is awfully support group like you don't get the
Mhm.
negative criticism that you sometimes need, but people have written stuff that was obviously heartfelt, just saying like really just thanking me for expressing something that they wanted to express, you know, typically on the topics of depression, suicide, and yeah, with anti-nostalgia, I really dug into things like, well, the title refers to the feeling of nausea at memory, just not even because they're bad memories, just because they're your memories. Like, oh God, I wish I'd been a different person. I wish I'd had a different life. I thought that was not that turned to be relatable to more people than I thought it would be.
Hmm.
And then there was the time that I just there's been a few times on Substack when I haven't felt capable of writing, but I just went on video and talked. And one of them was the piece suicidal ideation of my mother's legacy.
Hmm.
As I was recording that one and as I was publishing it, I had a lot of doubt. Like this is just a wallow through total darkness, and who's going to want to look at this? And people were just like, "Oh, thank you for expressing this." Uh, so you, it's helpful. It's helpful to just look at your own reactions to other people's writing and to music and art, and just realize that this is what gets you through the shit. Other
Yeah.
people are saying stuff that just resonates with you. So yeah, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, and I guess what is I guess what you write also is kind of like music. Like some folks are gonna like it, some are not, right? I mean, think of like your favorite artist, right? You don't like all of their songs. You like
Right.
most of them, right? Um, but maybe not all of them. And but the ones that you dislike, maybe I would like, and I take a different kind of meaning from that song. And I think part of my suspicion is always like what I write can't be beautiful all the time. So why am I getting all these comments of like what you wrote was beautiful and like mm. So I guess it's kind of like that. It's always at the eye of the reader, right? And then this is what compliments do to me. I don't know if you know. Do you follow Crispy Writes on?
He writes? I don't think so. No.
Um, he has this thing of like a couple times a week. Yeah, it's like, oh no, on Thursdays it's Throwback Thursdays, and where you like share something you wrote like way back when. And I'm looking for one, and I'm like scrolling through posts on, I'm noticing 28-minute read, 17-minute read, 10-minute read. And this is like me going like newest to oldest. So I could see um the newest stuff are a lot
Sure.
longer than the ones that where I started where they were like 5-minute reads.
Oh, okay.
And
So you started short and you got longer, huh?
and I blame compliments for that.
People will tell you not to publish anything on Substack that's longer than a 10-minute read, and I'm just like, really, really?
So so when I noticed that, when I noticed how long my shit's gotten, like I went on my chat and I was like, I'm sorry guys for the length. It was um and maybe that's good. But the good news is if you don't want to read it, there's a function where you can just hit play at the top and you can listen to what I write. And it could be just like you're listening to a podcast.
Yeah, I know. I need to like go back. I didn't realize. I don't know how I managed to not see it, but you can record your own narration of your stories, and actually, people hear your voice instead of a robot. Um, yeah, I think I'm going to go back and actually do that for one or two of my pieces.
Oh man, I didn't know you could narrate your own reading it.
Oh, okay, I feel better
I
now. I'm not the only one who didn't notice this.
I have the little AI thing read it, right? I picked a
Yeah, but
woman's
that's
voice. It,
yeah,
it
it's
sucks,
terrible. It sounds
but
terrible.
yeah, I was listening to one of my long ones, and it like mispronounced some easy words like reluctance, like
Yeah, and the cadence is all wrong, and there's no drama in it. I have acting skills. I could definitely bring my work to life reading it. So it's worth doing. And I would do it with all my pieces if it weren't for the fact that I'm probably going to rewrite every one of them. Um, but
I
yeah,
want I wonder if I can like use a I don't want to like go back and like reread everything out loud. And people might get tired of my voice. I don't even like listening to my own voice. Um, so sorry, my mom is just popped in. Um, but it's I I wonder if there's a method where you can like record like just sentences and and then like AI just automatically uses your voice to read your stuff.
no, 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 no,
No,
no, no,
why
no, no,
not?
no.
You don't like
No,
the
listen,
AI thing?
listen. Look, once you get AI involved, it's not you. All right, you can't make a robot version of yourself.
No, I want to make a robot version of me.
So
That would be fun. It's like send a robot version of me out into the world while I just hang out and watch TV.
there's a lot of ethical issues there.
I don't
You
know.
you should read some Philip K. Dick. Then you wouldn't feel so comfortable about this.
Or some Aldous Huxley or Kurt Vonnegut.
Philip K. Dick really gets into the ethical questions of artificial intelligence, and he was writing, of course, before artificial intelligence actually happened. Like, do robots dream of electric sheep? The novel that Blade Runner was based on. It's really, really good. I highly recommend it. I'm not a big science fiction fan, but I do love Philip K. Dick.
Philip K. I'm gonna have to write this down because I kind of like reading a lot about those things. So,
Yeah,
and Philip K. Dick.
I'm putting it in here. I'll put it right here in the chat too.
The traditional spelling of Dick, right? Yeah.
Yes, indeed. This novel in particular, Do Robots Dream of Electric Sheep, is really quite amazing. It's very
I
multifaceted. It's deep. Anyway. Let's not get too far off the topic.
I didn't
Uh,
realize that like you could shorten Richard to Dick even if it was in your last name. I thought it was just they shortened it if it was your first name. No, I gotta workshop that one. I gotta workshop that dad joke. Not all of them land, but it's okay.
before they
Um,
land, they get off the ground.
yeah. Speaking of landing, I have to. My mom came down here to, you know, do this because I gotta take her someplace. So we gotta land.
Okay.
We gotta land the plane. She has to be somewhere by 8:30.
All right.
But Mister, it was nice to talk to you. Where can people find you on Substack?
Uh, Click the link there. Click my name, Adam Green. That's my pseudonym, which I adopted because I have enemies out there now, and I don't want to be that easily discovered. Uh, for now, I'm Adam Green,
Okay.
named immigrants.
Yeah, it's and just to recap, you write a lot about your experiences as a, as a immigrant or your stories about
Yeah,
immigration.
all I'm writing in the way of posts is the account of my being here. My narrative starts out as a continuous, like I wrote 12 episodes, and then I started writing just these one-off things. The Mirror and Anti-Nostalgia, I think, are my two best pieces. And then there's been times when I have just done live broadcasts. And one time I just like unloaded the experience update from the madhouse where I live. Things had gotten so crazy at the place I was living. I just had to tell the story and give the backstory about all the characters who appeared in it. I went on for an hour and actually managed to be pretty damn concise.
Damn.
It's completely unedited. All of these live broadcasts and the transcriptions are completely unedited, but that one actually people were surprised that that I hadn't rehearsed or anything.
Wow. Well, my friend, thank you for the chat, and maybe we should do this again sometime soon, dude.
Yeah, it would be great.
All right. Well,
Anytime.
keep in touch, and next time I'll have a little bit more time.
Great. We
All
filled
right.
an hour very easily.
Oh, we did. I could go on forever. Yeah. All right, my
All right,
friend. Take
then.
it easy, and thank you for everyone that stayed.
Thanks to everybody, and thanks everybody who will watch coming moving forward.
All right. Take it easy.
Take
Bye.
care.